Welcome back to the fifth block of Capitol Report, we kind of call it, as we kind of clean up some stuff that we didn't get around to talking about in our short half-hour broadcast, along with the panel. Guys, a couple talking points to start the whole thing. Talking about Tim Herbst, kind of his move to the right as he tries to win the Republican primary. A word this week from the NRA that he received a top grade, and on the heels of that, he moves to reinstate the death penalty and end early release. And so how does that help him in a general election should he win a primary?
Not well.
Yeah, I don't think it helps him at all. I mean, you have to win the race in front of you, so I understand what he's trying to do. But this is the classic problem Republicans have, and Democrats have that same problem. The primaries tend to pull you to the left, and then it's hard to get back to the middle. But Herbst, you know, maybe he wins with the support of those groups. I don't know. You guys would know better.
But
he is putting himself in a very tough spot for the general election.
All right, so first of all, on the death penalty still has overwhelming support, despite the maneuverings of the legislature to undo that. On the gun issues, I don't think they play as badly as you think, but I will disagree on that. And at least Herbst has demonstrated message discipline. He's been consistently in this area. So that's a good thing for him. But he still, like all of these candidates who are not Mark Boughton, have to find a way to pop through. And unfortunately, I think everyone but Boughton, or all of them, have now fallen into this sort of comfort zone where they've got their money, they're on TV, they're all like in this stage of, okay, we're all on TV, we all look nice on TV, and it's all noise. So I think this one little vein that he's trying to work, whether it's enough there to get him over the top is the obviously open question. But those voters
on his behalf, that's my question.
And that's a conversation that you and I have had over the last few weeks. Is, you know, what are they able to do? I mean, in a lot of ways, they are coalition groups that will, you know, sort of verify him among those segments of the Republican primary electorate. But the Republican primary electorate, just like the general election electorate, is diverse, and they have different opinions on things. You know, as we've talked about, it's the economy, stupid, and those are the issues that are driving people's decision making. It's a good line, and it worked then, and it will work now. And so, you know, if Tim is able to use these coalition groups to sort of drive the conversation with those voters about how he will impact the economy, I think it helps him. You know, his strength, in my view, has always been that he has walked the walk and talked the talk. When he was in Trumbull, he didn't take a pension, he reformed that, and that is a strength of his. I think he'd be better suited talking about those things and sort of, you know, building out these coalitions. But, you know, they've got to run their strategy.
Herbst would be the easiest candidate for Democrats to beat. I think Absteniak would probably be the hardest, but I think that it would be the easiest
I'm glad you think that.
Democrats to beat Herbst. He's so extreme, and he just doesn't play to any of the things that you need in a general election in Connecticut.
He's not an extreme candidate.
Rolling back gun control in a state that had Sandy Hook, that's extreme.
Well, so I think that you know, I've known Tim. I don't know that he's necessarily an extremist, but I think that having to build this coalition and sort of going to these special interest groups, you know, will have a problem for him in a general election.
Right,
I mean, and that's what they are.
So
it's like anything else. When you're going to get the endorsement of a special interest group, you have to deal with the consequences.
Right,
of that.
and what ends up attaching to you, the candidate, are the views of those groups.
That's exactly right.
And so that's a problem. I agree with Jen.
And that's true with everybody. You guys are going to have that problem with state employee unions.
Gun control. You know, that one issue alone puts him in a very difficult spot. I think what separates him from the other candidates, at least from what I see, is that he appears to be working the hardest. I mean, this guy is out there every day, knocking on doors. I mean, he's really, really putting in a strong effort. And if that makes a difference, then that might be the differentiator for him.
Would you agree, though, it's always positive to have a candidate who exudes passion, as long as you obviously don't go over the top? I think one of the reasons Ganim is still sort of hanging around there is he's a monster campaigner. I think you'd agree to that. He's very convincing, and he's very passionate about what he... And he comes off as authentic, even with his issues regarding ethics and being in the can for 7 years. I mean, really, I mean, he
all that aside.
No, but even that, he's turned that around effectively. I mean, what you can laugh about him being reelected in Bridgeport ain't patty cake. You know, even under the best circumstances, for him to come back on that is an amazing feat. And he's, as I said before, in the paid hour or half hour, you know, he's getting a lot of acceptance from a lot of places, at least for being out there and being articulate.
So let's quickly change the topic to we talked about a little bit the ads that are all coming out now. Is that there's an ad, Art Linares has a new ad out, William Tong has an ad out for Attorney General, Sean Wooden has an ad out for Treasurer, and it all seems like they're running for governor or senator, and they're all going to, or President of the United States. It's all about Trump, it's all about everything, and there's slow-mo walking, and it's...
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen, I will defer to the ad expert on the panel, I have not seen one ad that made me think, wow, that's different. Or wow, that really cuts
They're pretty
through.
formulaic, I think.
I mean, there's some variation. They're not bad. They're all some variation of the same thing.
There are some bad ads.
But you have people who are trying to, most of these people have absolutely no name recognition. So I assume the goal of the ads is to introduce themselves. But I haven't seen one that I sat up and took notice on either side and thought, wow, that's a really good ad.
No Rottweiler ad.
No, there's
slow
not,
motion Rottweiler.
there really haven't been any difference makers from my perspective either. And I'm sure on your side, as in on ours, there's a lot of direct mail that's going out that's really,
so much.
you know, hitting those negative messages for candidates and doing it,
Has anyone,
I think,
can
effectively.
we ask the
has
ad
anyone
makers?
finished? Have you finished the Bob Stefanowski 8-part flyer? I'm about halfway through.
No, no.
All right, have the last word.
No, I agree with Rory. I think that nothing has really cut through the noise. People are kind of trying to look like they're in a leadership position, but I think that viewers are just kind of seeing it as, you know, grouping them all together, the slow-mo walks, and trying to look like they're people who can be in charge, like you say, like almost as if they're running for president, but not really having people stand up, take notice, and understand who they are.
There's a lack of authenticity and like that emotional feeling that we've all been talking about. There's no sort of gut level leadership compelling message
Because they're
from these
talking about
folks.
themselves.
Yeah.
In other words, saying,
And
I am a leader, as opposed to the more effective ads sometimes are the third-party endorsement.
Yeah. Right.
Like, I know this guy. He can get it done.
Yep.
None of those.
Yeah.
Zero.
Well, because
They don't have name
They
ID,
don't.
right?
Right.
All right, guys, that'll do it. Thanks for joining us on Kepler After Hours. We'll see you guys next week.